I got a call from Steve Mariucci at Cal, and he said, Tom, if you come here, you can start for us. And you're going into your third year. If you leave Michigan, you can come here and you can start for us. And of course, Cal was one of my great choices. I thought, shit, I could go home and be a starter. And I walked into Coach Carr's office, the head coach at Michigan at the time. And I said, Coach, what's my situation like? And he said, Brady, I want you to stop worrying about what all the other players on our team are doing. All you do is you focus on the starter, the second guy. You don't worry about what you're focused on. You came here to be the best. I want you at this program, and if you're going to be the best, you got to beat out the best. And he goes, you got to start working with this guy named Greg Harden, who was another mentor in my life. Greg just came out with the book a few days ago. And Greg had been a sports psychologist at Michigan. And we got to start building this knowledge, and we got to create a strategy and a plan. And he said, I would complain all the time that the guys ahead of me were getting more opportunity than I was. There was a certain amount of repetitions in practice. The starter would get 20, the backup would get 10, and I would get 2. And I'd go in and I'd say, well, how can I ever get better? All these guys get all the reps and I only get 2. And he said, just go in there and focus with the 2 that you got and make them as perfect as you possibly can. So I said, okay. So that's what I did. They'd put me in for those 2. Man, I'd sprint in there like it was Super Bowl 49. Let's go, boys. Here we go. What play we got? And I did really well with those 2 because I brought enthusiasm. I brought some energy, and I had a little more confidence in myself. And it went from 2 reps to getting 4 reps because those 2 were pretty good. Then I had 4 good reps. Then I got 10 good reps. And before you knew it, through this new attitude, through this new shift that Greg had said to me, focus on what you can control. Focus on what you're getting, not what anyone else is getting. Whenever you get an opportunity, you take advantage of it. You treat it like it's the Super Bowl. You treat it like it's game day. Go out there and treat practice like no one else does. And I did that every single day. And it was a lot. It was taxing on me. There was a lot of stress for me, even in high school. And I look back at those times, it wasn't probably like a typical college experience because I was really motivated to play. But I had to take it to a new level that the other guys wouldn't. So going into my 4th year, now I had competed freshman year, sophomore year, going into my 3rd year. And I had learned these tools to compete. And I said, whatever they ask me to do, that's what I'm going to do to the best of my ability. And I went in there, I competed really hard my 3rd year, and I lost the starting job to Brian Greasy. And Brian Greasy led the team to a 12-0 national championship that year. So I was part of a national championship team, and I barely played. So I go into my 4th year, and I was like, now's my time. I worked hard to compete my first 3 years. Going into my 4th year, I got a great opportunity to play. And I worked hard. It's time for me to come. And they recruited a kid named Drew Henson, who was one of the top prospects in the country from Michigan, right next door to University of Michigan. And here he was coming in the door that everyone knew about. He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So all the fans and all the media, they weren't interested in Tom Brady, backup quarterback to Brian Greasy, Tom Brady, backup quarterback to Scott Dreisbach his first year, or Scott Dreisbach his second year. Now we have Drew Henson coming in. And I was like, the competition's relentless. At first I was looking at the guys ahead of me. Now I got to be looking down at the guys behind me too. But I said, you know what? I'm going to apply the same thing that I learned in those previous years. I'm going to go out there and compete as hard as I can. And I'm going to treat practice like a game. And I'm going to gain the respect of my teammates every day through my work ethic. I'm going to work hard in the weight room. I'm going to work hard in the film room. I'm going to work hard to be a good student. And going into my 4th year, it was a little bit of a battle. And my teammates named me team captain. And I won the starting job. And we had a good year. We finished 10-3. In our bowl game, we played in the Citrus Bowl, and we came back from I think it was a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter, and to win the game. And I was like, man, that was unbelievable. Now that I'm going into my 5th year, we're going to have a great year. I was 10-3, learned a lot, beat everyone out. And then I showed up, and Coach Carr says, well, you're going to compete with Drew Henson to be the starter going into your 5th year. And I was like, you got to be f***ing kidding me. But I was like, you want me to compete? That's what we're going to do. And Drew had improved too. So Drew was learning to compete as well. And my view on team sports was you compete, and whoever wins the job, that's the person that gets it. No one's entitled to a position on a team. Whatever is best for the team, that's what everyone has to say. Look, man, the kid beat me out. He's better, gives us a better chance to win. So I competed really hard again in my 5th year, took it to a new level, thought about my conditioning, my strength, thought about how I was doing making my decisions off the field. Going to my 5th year, and I was starting to play really good. And I thought, I'm gonna have a chance. And Coach Carr called me in and he said, well, Tom, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna start. Drew, you're gonna play the second quarter. And I'm gonna decide at halftime who plays the rest of the year. And I was like, not what I wanted to hear, but I'm gonna deal with it the best way I can. So, first game of the year, we played Notre Dame. I start, Drew comes in the second quarter. He says, Tom, you're gonna play the rest of the game. We're down 4 points with 2 minutes left in the game. I drive him down the field. We score. We win the game. I'm like, man, way to go. I'm ready to keep this going. He says, we're gonna do the same thing next week. Okay.
At this point, is this common? This isn't like coaches do this regularly, right?
No, it's totally.
This is totally random.
It's definitely not normal. And again, I was a team captain too. So, I had to do what was right by the team, and I took that. That was like one of the greatest. I always say that was one of the great honors that you could have. Was when all your buddies from college and these great athletes, they name you captain because they say, "Man, you deserve it. We want you to be the leader for us." So, I go into the second game of the year, and I start. Drew comes in, and he says, Tom, you're going to play the third and fourth quarter, which I did. And we won pretty handily. It wasn't against a great team. So we played at Syracuse, and I played in the first quarter. We didn't score. Drew came in through a touchdown pass in the second quarter, came in, and he said, Drew's going to play in the second half. And I'm a 5th-year senior, captain of the team, 10-3, won a bowl game in my 4th year, got off to an undefeated start in my 5th year, and I was like, all right, let me cheer him on. I'm going to cheer him on. And we won the game. I stood up there and we sang the victors. I sang it louder than I ever sang after a game. Hail to the victors. And I wanted my teammates to know that I had their back, even if it wasn't right for me, or I didn't feel it was right for me. So we platooned for another couple games. 6th game of the year, we're undefeated. We're going to Michigan State. They had an undefeated team. I started. Drew played the second quarter, and they started Drew in the second half. We didn't have a great third quarter with Drew in, so they brought me in, and they said, Brady, you're going to play the rest of the game. Almost the end of the third quarter. We scored 4 touchdowns from the mid-third quarter to the end of the game. And we ended up losing. So we were 5-1. I walked in there after the game. All the teammates came up and said, great job. And Coach Carr said, we're going to platoon next week. And I was like, wow, we're really in on this platoon thing, huh? We played Illinois at home. We were huge favorites. I played the first quarter. Drew played the second quarter. I started the third quarter. I threw an interception. He took me out of the game. They put Drew in. Drew threw an interception. They took him out of the game. They put me back in. Had a pretty good fourth quarter of the game. Driving to win the game. Our starting center, we're in field goal position to win. I'm in the shotgun. Snaps the ball 25 yards over my head to knock us out of field goal range. We lose the game to Illinois. And after that, Coach Carr said, the platoon's off. Tom's playing the rest of the year. We didn't lose a game the rest of the season. So, and that wasn't just because of me. I want to be really clear. We had a great team. But what did I learn from that whole situation? It was a tough battle for me. It was a tough go. It was tough in high school. It was really tough in college. There was a lot of stress. Nothing was given to me. I didn't take the easy way out going to Cal and saying, God, that could be really easy. Close to home. My mom can do my laundry. And everyone can come to the game. I can start. I stuck it out at Michigan where it was 10 degrees in the wintertime, and it was a lot of tough competition. So, of course, now I'm going to the NFL draft, and I'm like, all these pro coaches must have seen how good I was. I mean, they watched me at Michigan. We beat Ohio State, my senior year. We played Alabama in the Orange Bowl. I threw for 340 yards in the Orange Bowl. We were down 14 points in the fourth quarter against Alabama in the Orange Bowl. We came back and won in overtime. Man, I'm going to be a second-round pick. And, round 1, 2, and here we go. 6th round, pick 199. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make all those other teams pay. But what did I learn, What did I learn? Like I said, I wasn't the prodigy. I learned about work ethic. I learned about resilience. I learned about gaining the trust and the respect of my teammates and coaches to name me captain. I learned about how to dig deep within myself, a long way from home without a ton of support for the position I was in, to still try to find a way to succeed in this situation that I really wanted to be in because it was the best for me anyway. And here I go. I get picked by the New England Patriots in the 6th round, 199. And I always joke, when they called me, they said, Tom, hey, Tom, this is, Bill Belichick. We're, picked you in the 6th round. Like, we'll see you Monday. Like, get ready to go. So to the Patriots, and there are 3 quarterbacks ahead of me. Sound familiar? So I was number 4. And Bill Belichick kept me as the 4th quarterback in my first year. Now, like there was just cuts the other day, they keep 2 quarterbacks most of the time on an NFL roster now. Bill Belichick saw something in me through watching me work a little bit and, watching my love for the game. All right, this kid's probably not ready to play, but, I like him. He's kind of tough and, he doesn't look that athletic, but, he throws the ball pretty well and he seems to really enjoy the game. So I'm going to keep him on the roster. And, that's where my pro journey began. So that was a long answer to your question. But I think if I look at that journey from where I was as a kid to where I was as a 22-year-old, I had my parents that were in my life to support me every step of the way. I had my junior varsity football coaches that were there every step of the way. I had my throwing coach and mentor, Tom Martinez, there every step of the way. I went to Michigan. I had Coach Carr challenge me to say, those who stay will be champions. So I stayed. Greg Harden found a way into my life who said, don't worry about all these things that are out of your control. Focus on what you can do. Focus on the 2 reps you got. I had all my teammates that supported me. I had my sisters that supported me. It takes so many people to get to where we get in our life. Yeah, I was there doing some of the work, but I couldn't have done it if I didn't have them. So when I stand up there, even sitting here today in front of you, I'm just a story like everybody else. It's all just a narrative. You have people in your life that are there to support you, hopefully, that are going to encourage you and challenge you every step of the way, because there's no straight line for anybody. There's not a straight line for me in this path. Kids may sit here and your kids may say, God, Tom Brady, God, he was able to win. I heard you name some great, records that I was very fortunate to be able to have over a 23-year career. All I think about is my parents. I think about my kids. I think about my family. I think about Greg. I think about my best friend and body coach, Alex. I think of the people that I work with every day. So for me, I just am a representation of all these people that have come into my life. And I felt very motivated to, I always said we play for the name on the front of our jersey was the Patriots or the Bucks, and I played for the name on the back of the jersey, which was my family and the people that encouraged me. So that was a great first 22 years of my career in my life. And I got to the Patriots, and you talked about that one moment where I said, wow, I can really do this. So think about it. I had been in all this competition at Michigan. I had Brian Greasy ahead of me lead us to a national championship. I had one of the top recruits in the country, Drew Henson, and I was staring those guys down every day. Here I come to the Patriots, and I get drafted, and I'm fourth on the depth chart. And I finally see Drew Bledsoe throw the ball for the first time. And in my very naive, competitive way, because he signed a 10-year, $100 million contract with the New England Patriots when I was making $185,000, I looked at him and I go, I could throw the ball better than that. Which I was the only one on the field who saw that, and I wasn't, but I had a belief that I could. If I worked the same way, and if I gained the trust and respect of my teammates in the same way, that if I ever did get that position, and I told this to my best friend, who was one of my roommates in college, I said, if they ever put me on the field, they're never going to take me off the field. And they never did.